Start streaming. We may be live now.
We might be live. Yep, I just got a notification. We're live.
What's going on, folks?
Well, here is the big question. If you guys were watching last week, you know I was giving Jordan a little bit of a hard time about his decision on turkey hunting. So I know everyone is already expectantly awaiting this question. Did you kill a turkey? And first of all, no, question number one, did you pick up your shotgun and take your shotgun turkey hunt, or did you stick with the bow? That's the first question.
So the answer is yes, I did pick up my shotgun, and no, I did not do it in time.
But you did pick up the shotgun.
Yep. Okay. And I never had a chance once I pulled out the shotgun. So unfortunately, I was within shotgun range somewhere like 4 to 6 times. I actually haven't counted. Within 50 yards of a turkey, and none of those times I had the shotgun. So,
do you guys only get one tag?
Yep.
See, we get multiple tags. I'm not even sure how many we get. We get multiple, lots of them.
Yeah.
They hand them out like they're candy.
If I had multiple tags, I would have shot a double with my dad opening day.
All right. So looking back at your turkey season, grade the whole experience, and if you have any regrets or just kind of.
I mean, yeah. Grade it, just it's an A, but the ending just wasn't, because it was some great experiences, honestly. And then having my dad's turkey kill opening day was just awesome. Just an awesome way to start the season.
So is that what makes it an A? Because you didn't kill a turkey and you're giving yourself an A.
Oh, giving myself an A or the experience?
Well, I mean, the entire thing. So
okay.
Which is, you didn't kill a turkey, but yet you're grading it an A. You're gonna have to.
Yeah, because I had a ton of fun, and I learned a ton, and it's not like I couldn't have killed a turkey. I could have. I just chose to do it a different way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could have even took like a 50-yard shot with a bow, but I held back.
I got to commend you on that, because you're a second-year turkey hunter, and you're showing restraint. That's very commendable.
Oh well, thanks.
So if your dad hadn't killed one, would you still give it an A, or is that the big cream of the?
Yeah, probably wouldn't have gave it an A, because it would have been like a big letdown not to harvest anything.
Yeah, cool. So our turkey season's still open. We got till the end of May. It goes on forever.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know in Michigan.
Good.
Michigan's the same way. They have. I mean, it's literally we're like not very far from the border, and they get like 6 weeks, and we get 2.5. We get 2 weeks and 3 days.
Why is it so short?
I guess lack of turkey, probably.
But I mean, you're seeing a lot of them, aren't you?
I mean, you just gotta know where to look, I guess.
So I'm still going at it. I say that very loosely. My motivation, if anything, has declined since the start of the season, which we know. My motivation was pretty non-existent to begin with, but Dan and Golden, and actually my wife's niece, who's been hanging out with Golden Boy, hanging out. We're still waiting to see what goes on with that. But
so they haven't got any, or
well, they're just kind of hanging out. They're just kind of hanging out. I don't know. I won't. That's just kind of, I don't know. It's complicated, I guess. But so the 4 of us went back to Western Kansas, to where Aiden's farm is, or his dad's farm is, and we stayed overnight there. And Friday night, Aiden and Katie went ahead of Dan and I, and their scouting went great. They actually had 2 gobblers roosted in a tree. They knew exactly where they were, and they had another big turkey right out in the open in this one field the night before. So Katie and Aiden went to the 2 where they had them roosted, because that was the prime spot. We want to try to get her a bird. I mean, we drove by the road quarter mile away right before sunset. We could see them from the road and the trees. I mean, I knew exactly where they were, and the tree line was real thin. They had an excellent chance. And then so Dan and I broke off in the morning and went to the one turkey, and we laid there and heard a few gobbles, but the gobbles were obviously not, we were nowhere close to them. And we waited around for a while, and then we were in walking distance from the farm, so we just walked back. We were done by like 8:30. Both of us actually fell asleep just laying there, and then we was like, let's just go back, we're done. And then Aiden and Katie, those 2 came out of the trees and then just kind of circled around a different way, and So we failed on that. But Aiden has been saving a roost by his house. Um, he's been saving that. So if Katie doesn't go out, I may hopefully get to go jump on those birds on the roost. So
Nice.
we'll see. I'm not very expectant about it, and whatever.
So you won't be disappointed if you don't get a turkey.
No, I don't care. I've got the Hunter the Turkey Slayer videos, and I've just been glad to have those to have some content, because those are quick little hitter videos that I'm enjoying. And so I got out a few videos, and I don't know, man. I just don't have any motivation for it this year. I don't know what the deal is. Way less than last year. I was so determined to get one because the whole hunting season had been so poor that I was like, damn it, I am going to go and have some success. And I think that's what was really driving me. But this year we had such a good year and everything. It's like all my hunting needs are just filled up emotionally, and I just don't. And the first time I went out, I got like ticks and bug bites all over the place. I'm still scratching from. I'm like, oh. Woods in the spring suck.
Chance? Yeah, same way early fall. I mean, so that being said, not being motivated for turkey, but are you getting the itch for ducks yet to come back in?
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Full force. Full force itch for ducks.
For me though, like I thought that turkey season would help, but just being out there more, it made it worse. No doubt. It's just I'm rearing to go. I mean, I was just looking at the calendar though. Here we are, middle of May. And so we're talking what, 3.5 months, and it's duck season already. That's crazy to think that way though.
Yeah. It'll go fast. Well, the first turkey hunt I went on, which I talked about last week, I ended up just wandering around in this marsh, and I got the smell of the marsh in my nose, and it was kind of cool that night. So it actually felt like an early fall evening, and I was seeing teal come out of these little potholes, and that just did it, man. That just fired me up. Ever since then, it's like I've been having duck hunting dreams again. Do you ever have duck hunting dreams?
Yeah.
What is there anything that, like, mine all run the same theme? Do your duck hunting dreams? What are they generally like? Off topic a little bit, for curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, they're not like real detailed or anything. Usually it's just I'm out there hunting. I don't know.
Do you have success?
Yeah. Are yours like nightmares?
Oh man, I suck. In general, I suck in my dreams. Like I might be able to fly, but when I fly, I just can't quite get it done, like that. So when I'm out duck hunting, either it's typically all the marshes are built in around big city, like urban streets and stuff normally. So there's normally people everywhere. And then even if I have a good pass in, I'll like try to pull up to shoot on, but my arms won't work. And so it's like my arms are lead weights, and I'm trying to raise the gun up, and this perfect flock is right there. It's always stuff like that.
Meanwhile, you're waking your wife up trying to lift the covers up or something.
I don't think I've ever had a successful duck hunting dream. I bet you I've had 30 duck hunting dreams. I mean, I have them quite frequently. I'm just always inept. My arms won't work. Oh, perfect flock.
Well, it sounds like you're not having a good sleep then. If you're probably dreaming like the night before, because the way I hear it, like you don't remember your dreams unless you wake up during REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement. And so yeah, I guess you're waking up during that. You're not getting to the deepest part of your sleep.
Yeah, it's just gonna get worse and worse. It's always always overcrowded. And the craziest ones, like I said, it's like an urban city, and I'm trying to hunt in some little place. Like there would be an apartment complex with a little pond in the middle of it, and I'm setting up decoys on it.
I saw. So there's this drainage right by our like supermarket. It's called Myers. I doubt I don't know if they have those in Kansas. You ever heard of Myers?
Mm-mm.
So it's like Walmart, but I guess it's like a Midwest kind of branch, and they have like a drainage, and it's in between the Myers and apartments. And like got like timber around it, and I got out of my Jeep, and I was going to walk in the store, and I just see all these mallards like circling and just dropping in it, and I can hear like there's just a ton in there quacking and splashing, and I go over and look, and they're just like literally just pouring into this hole. Nice. And it's literally it's like a little pond like the size of like a driveway, and just full of mallards.
And that's in the city?
Yeah.
Jeez. Now you have a ton of ducks around right now?
I wouldn't say a ton, but yeah, we got ducks around.
Huntable numbers.
I mean, they're all in like pairs though, so it's kind of hard to say because they're really, really spread out in pairs everywhere. Same
We've
with the
got blue-winged
geese.
teal and wood ducks, and the blue-winged teal will be gone real soon. And then all we have is wood ducks, and it's just like void of all ducks most of the off season. Cool, because I used to think that I wanted to live around where there was ducks year round, but the cool thing about it is they all leave, and so you go forever without seeing them at all. And then when they start to come back in, it's a really neat feeling. It's like, oh, here they come, you know.
Where do the blue winged teal go? They're not
They
nesting.
they don't not many teal nest down the south, Nebraska. Like when we go up, we're going on a fishing trip up to north central Nebraska, which is about 7 hours north of us, and it'll be every pothole will be loaded with ducks. So we're just several 200, 300, 400 miles south of what's considered the prairie pothole region. So it's just a little too hot here. They just don't. We get a few mallards, a few teal, mostly wood ducks. But I mean, if I went to the marshes after the blue and teal leave, you could just go and maybe see a there, but it's just void of anything really.
Gotcha.
So when they start coming back in, it's really cool.
So our guest today is a little late, so we're gonna have him jump in now, or I'm gonna get that set up anyway. So just hang on, guys. Elliot's gonna talk about something.
If you guys haven't, I don't know how many people are in here right now. Off season, we're not typically holding a ton of people on the live chat, but if you do have any questions, feel free to throw them on there. And while I wait, if there's no questions, we'll talk about our fishing trip coming in while Jordan's getting this set up.
Howdy.
So Fumbles and Golden and I and Golden's grandpa and a cousin of mine, we're going up to Nebraska,
so
north central Nebraska.
Here, I think I can
right around Valentine,
you...
Nebraska, actually up at the Sand Hills. And we are going to fish for pike and bass. So we're doing that at the beginning of June. And I'm going to take my new camera up there, and I think I'm gonna make a mini series of videos of this trip. So this is the place we've gone a bunch over the past 25 years, but we haven't been going quite as much. But it's the closest place to us that we can actually fish for pike. So I am super excited about that opportunity to go up there with my dad, and one of my boys is going. I don't know if it's gonna be Nevin or Elijah.
I'm trying to think of how to do this.
But we're gonna go up there and try to get on some pike, and not only that, we're gonna spend an afternoon kind of looking at what it might be like to go up there on a pronghorn hunt. And so I think one of the videos I do is going to just be about scouting for pronghorn and that whole adventure.
Okay.
Because one of my, I have very few
with your
bucket
Facebook,
hunts, but one of them is to go up to this area and hunt for pronghorn. So we're going to spend an afternoon doing that, and I think 2 full days of fishing. So man, excited about that. These lakes are natural lakes where the Ogallala Aquifer seeps up through the sand out there, and they're pretty shallow.
I should be able to add you still, I think.
Shoulder deep, lots of weeds, and just a fantastically beautiful area.
Just give me a second here.
We're gonna hit that really hard, and that's the thing I'm most excited about right now. I guess another point of interest, and I probably won't release any of these videos on anywhere but Patreon, but we have a family of foxes living in our neighbor's backyard. The neighbors don't live there, but they maintain the house, and we've got 4 little baby foxes and a mom fox living there, and they are out all the time. In fact, I've been
the link.
feeding them a little bit of duck from time to time.
Send it to you.
But they are out there all the time, and I'm getting a lot of really cool video of them. The neat thing is I just got this new video camera, a Canon G40, and so it's given me an opportunity to test that out and really practice on it with these little foxes that are living in the backyard next. So if you have a desire to see those videos, I know I posted one on Fellowship of the Duck Gun, and I'm going to be posting them on Patreon as well. So I'm hearing stuff. I'm running out of content here, guys. So no one's got any questions, so but that's all right. So I went through, when I bought this camera, this Canon G40, I went through about a week of obsessive research between I wanted my price range was basically 800 to 1800 was the range that I was looking for a new camera. And I had almost settled on a $1,500 Canon XA30 or XA11. And at the last second, I got cold feet about that particular camera. And are you guys ready? I don't know. They must have me muted or something. But anyway, I went down and found a G40, which is refurbished. And so I was going to get that. I got that for $800. But the last second, I started thinking maybe I wanted. Hey, Jordan, can you not mute yourself? No, not anymore. You were, but you're not anymore. There we go. So anyway, the whole thing for me was, as a YouTuber who does video, do you want to go with a DSLR or do you want a traditional camcorder? So I did a lot of looking into the two, and I know like High Prairie Sportsman went with the DSLR. Jordan's got a DSLR. Most of the guys you see are going with DSLR. And the advantages that I can see of a DSLR is the sensor size, and you can get a 1-inch sensor in about a $800 DSLR. And to get a 1-inch sensor in a camcorder, you've got to spend upwards almost $2,000. Now, what a sensor does is it lets light in, so they're much better in low light, and sometimes the picture is a lot more crisp in quality. Now the downside on the DSLR is the stabilization typically is not as good, which is a huge factor for us in it. So the stabilization makes a big difference with the camcorder. And ultimately, I'm not a big techie guy with cameras and whatnot. And so I wanted a camcorder because it is built to take video. The stabilization is better of it, and I was happy with the quality. And it had a nice big eye cup to look through when you're recording, which I've found to be extremely important for reasons I won't go into. So ultimately, I made the decision to get a camcorder instead of a DSLR for those reasons. The stabilization, something that's built to video, where a DSLR is typically built to take still shots, but you can video with it. So, but its intended use is normally still shots. So it can be a little bit more complex to use. Or my interpretation was it's a little more complex to use, multiple lenses. And when I was getting into it, it just kind of overwhelmed me a little bit. I went with the camcorder with a little less of a sensor. But this G40, I'll say low light, I'm extremely impressed with it. Now, the reason that the eye cup is so important is because the camera I've been using is a Panasonic HCV 770, and it just has a flip out LCD screen. It doesn't have any kind of eye cup that you can look through. And so even with a really, really good LCD screen on a bright day, a ton of problems seeing through that LCD screen. And talking about looking through the screen and being able to zoom in on a really bright day, your footage is just going to struggle just because you can't keep it on the bird. Everything gets all shaky. And not only that, even if it's not a really bright day, the problem that you run into is when you're sitting there with the camera and you've got to look at a little LCD screen. In order to keep that bird on there without it looking completely shaky and usable, you've got to focus on that screen at every single second. Well, when you have a flock of ducks right down in the decoys, and it is extremely difficult to maintain your eyes on that LCD screen and not look up. It's extremely difficult because you just naturally start looking up. The second that you look up away from the LCD screen that you're looking through, your shot is done. So I learned right off the bat that having an eyepiece where you have to look through that eyepiece and you got it right up to your eye and you're forced through it, it's invaluable, because once you get someone looking through that, you can't look up. And the light can never, ever take away that picture from you. And you never look up. So it's extremely important. And my Panasonic didn't have that. And so that's why I feel like that's why we struggled to get the kind of shots that even that camera is capable of getting. So, hey, Iowa, there's Iowa Plainsman Outdoors is there. So for those of you that are on here, let me tell you what's going on. We have on here today, Day60 TV, and he's been out on the tractor. He's a farmer. I'm hoping, probably from looking at his videos, he has been working on duck fields and stuff, because I think they do a lot of farming for their duck habitat. And so we're having a little technical difficulty getting him on here. So Jordan is working behind the scenes right now to get him connected on. And then I'm just kind of rambling and talking while we do that. So if you do have any questions at all, feel free. I or anyone else on here, feel free to ask away. And then as soon as we get him on here and connected up, we'll get rolling on this. And this is just kind of the beginning phase of the section of the podcast. So none of this stuff will be on the podcast. So if you ever want to see these and listen to them while you drive, you can find Duck Gun Podcast on Podbean, on Google Play, on iTunes, anywhere that you're seeing, anywhere that you can see podcast. So all this stuff will get weeded out. So thank you for being patient. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them on there. And if you're here, didn't throw on there, what camera are you using? Or didn't you buy one, or were you gonna buy one? I thought that you were in the market of buying one, and I don't know if you had made that decision yet, because that's what I've been talking about. It's kind of DSLRs versus camcorders, and my thought on that topic. So ultimately, the camera I bought is not going to be that much better video quality than my Panasonic, but that Panasonic is really cheaply made. In fact, the first one that I bought broke right at a year. In fact, we got it back to the factory the day the warranty ended, so I got a new one. And then the next one, the replacement I got, fumblements dropped in the water, so they bought me a new one, and that recently is now malfunctioning as well. I just don't think that they're built to do what we're doing. So I'm sending that back. So now I'm going to have both cameras. Actually, I'm going to have the Panasonic HCV 770 hanging around my neck, and then the Canon G40 I'll have with me on a shoulder mount, working more like a traditional video camera. So I'm really excited about the combination between those two pieces of equipment. But like I said, the actual video quality itself won't be that much difference. It's just a matter of the quality of the camera, the quality of the autofocus, a lot of just the small higher quality than what I'd been using before. So I think they'll show up. Are you guys there? Hey, how you doing? Is it Sam? I'm Elliot. It's nice to meet you.
So we're already live.
Okay, cool.
I have been what's it called? Filibuster? I've been filibustering.
Field right now, planting soybeans around the duck pit. So
nice. So I was watching your videos today. You guys do a ton of farming around your duck pits, right?
I can't hear him now.
Can't hear.
I ended the call, Sam. I don't know if you can hear us. We don't hear him.
Nope, we don't hear you.
Give us. Okay, he's gonna. Oh, Elliot's gone. Okay, now I can hear you, Sam.
okay, hold
We lost an Elliot. Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Did we go off air there?
No, I think you just dropped from the call.
Okay, cool.
And I think we're all back. All right.
Yeah, we're good now.
Sweet.
Good deal.
All right. I think we're going to go from this page today.
I was running out of rambling content. I'm glad you guys have it.
I figured.
You're the host. You're supposed to be able to go on for days, man.
Oh, I can ramble pretty good. I can, but you know, it's off season and there's not a lot going on.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
And I am not much of a fisherman.
Yeah, I'm not either, man. That's why in the farming business, we kind of get to live the duck season year round, man. We, you know, in the wintertime, we're hunting, and in the spring, you know, you're getting ready for planting season, and you know, then of course fall, you know, you're gearing up. So we kind of live it year round. There's always something to keep your head into the game, anyways.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
cool.
All right, I guess let's we'll start from the beginning with the recording part of the podcast. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining us. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, and I got my co-host alongside me, Graybeard from Freelance Duck Hunting, and we got Sam from Day60 TV. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for
glad
being
to have
on
you.
here.
Absolutely.
So you're a farmer from Illinois and avid duck hunter. So I guess go ahead and fill us in a little bit about yourself and you know what you got going on.
I actually live in Missouri, so I live right in the heart of duck country, what people call the heartland. And then 15 minutes across the Mississippi River, I farm here in Illinois. My dad and I farm about 5,000 acres over here, and like I said, we're in the heart of duck country over here. Just about 15 miles to the south of here is actually the former goose capital of the world, Horseshoe Lake. And so you can imagine, you know, how big the waterfowl tourism used to be around here. And so I kind of grew up goose hunting a little bit. As a kid, I'm 26 years old. So back in 2000 was the last good year they had around here, and the geese kind of quit migrating down in this area. And we kind of switched over to duck hunting. So about the time I got old enough to start shooting a little bit, when I outgrew the geese, I was actually bigger than the size of a goose. So I could hold a gun, and we started duck hunting a little bit more. And I honestly could care less about goose hunting. It's kind of funny. That's how I grew up hunting, and you know, now I'm the opposite. So we shifted gears to the duck hunting, and we've got some pretty good areas here. And then as I got a little bit older, I started hunting in Missouri quite a bit more on the public land. You know, met some buddies over there and started hunting the woods. A good friend of mine, Chris, who helps me edit the show, he kind of showed me the ropes from some of the public woods, and of course, once you get hooked on the woods hunting, then there's only one place to go after that, and that's Arkansas. And so I started learning those public areas, and that's probably some of my favorite areas to hunt is the public woods here in Missouri and Arkansas, and we've got some public woods over here in Illinois as well. But it's honestly the public woods. We got a couple places in Missouri that are just you know, it's like home, and that's my favorite kind of hunting, and it spoiled me. You know, once I got started hunting in the woods when I was about 14 or 15 years old, I was ruined after that. You know, I was, and so that's kind of where I am now. I'm fortunate here in Illinois. We can hunt here. You go 15 minutes across the river. You're in Missouri. Drive just a little over an hour south to Arkansas. From right here where I'm sitting, it's about 30 minutes to Kentucky, 45 minutes to Kentucky. You know, then same thing, about another hour, a little over an hour to Tennessee. I mean, West Tennessee, we're Reelfoot Lake. I'm sure, you know, you've probably heard of that. And, I mean, we're just right in the middle of it, to be honest. And we're very fortunate to live here. Got a lot of really good public areas to hunt. You know, being a farmer, and we actually farm for a couple duck clubs, you know, as well as our own personal property here. And I catch myself hunting the public woods and, you know, public areas much more than I do even my own property. You know, the public hunting around here is really good. And we're very fortunate in this area to have a good conservation department and a lot of good people that run these areas. And we hold a lot of ducks. It always gives you an opportunity to hunt. And that's one reason why hunting is so big in this area, is because everybody's got the kind of the same opportunity to hunt. We're pretty fortunate.
Awesome.
One thing I noticed about your videos was obviously all the work that you guys do with your land. It seems like that you like to highlight that in your videos, and it's really interesting. Can you tell a little bit more about the property that you guys personally hunt? How many blinds? Because you guys have, from what it looked like, some elaborate pit blinds, and kind of the history of that property, how many blinds you have, just a little more about that. I'm interested about your property.
In some of those episodes, a lot of that's a few different places. Some of that's in Missouri, and that's a good friend of mine, Eric Reinhardt. That's his property. He's a rice farmer in Dexter, Missouri, which is about an hour southwest of here. Our property here in Illinois, we're right in the river bottom. It's kind of a really cool area. Like where I look right now, you know, this is gumbo, just as black dirt as river bottom as it can get, and we got the hills in the background. It's a really unique area. And we do mostly pit hunting over here in Illinois. You know, we don't hunt out of blinds very much. The ducks, for some reason, in this area over here, don't really like to come over the woods. They don't like to come over the wood lines, which isn't really my preferred method. I enjoy hunting out of the blind, or freestanding in the water is probably my favorite way. But this is a really good spot here where these ducks move. Where we're located right here on the river, there's a refuge just to the north of us here, and then, like I said, you know, the Boot Hill, Missouri is just here to the southwest, and it's a really good. You know, there's just tons of traffic of ducks through here, and actually, what we've done here, on one of these farms here that we share with a landowner, what we've done is we buried some pipe out to one of our pits, and so we're able to pump water whenever it freezes. Where we're at here, it floods quite often, and so you don't really know if you're going to get corn. We plant some rice over here now. We might plant rice there. We might plant soybeans there. We might plant a combination of millet, buckwheat. You really have no idea, but we've got the opportunity to be able to keep open water during really, really, really cold times of the year, and that's honestly when we have our best hunting, when everyone else is froze up. The refuges around us are froze up, locked up tight, and we've got a pit out in the middle of a field, basically, is what, you know, kind of our method over here. And you know, with whatever food source we can get planted there, and that's kind of our tactic that we work off out of here. And then just to the north of my place here is a duck club that we farm at, and we do some dry field hunting up there. Which is kind of uncommon around here. Not many guys dry field hunt. And we've got some smaller corn holes up there. You know, like I said, where we are here, the flood in the summertime is very, very, very common. So it's really hard to make a game plan for what you want to do as far as, you know, food sources go for ducks. So you've kind of got to be on your toes. And, you know, luckily for us, we've got tons of equipment to get it done. My dad's actually up there right now working some ground. We're going to put some corn in for the ducks. Hopefully next week. It's too dry to even plant right now. So, you know, but, you know, we'll plant our duck corn all the way up until you don't want to, but, you know, the end of June, you know, sometimes it'll still make an ear enough to, doesn't really see, there's enough area around there with food that the ducks, you don't really have to have too terribly much food to get much traffic. You know, if you've got a little bit of corn for them, you know, and you're able to plant some millet in there, we can plant our millet. I've planted it, you know, it's about 60 days, and I've planted it all the way up through the end of August, you know, and it'll make a head before it freezes, you know, by the end of October or, you know, early November. And so that gives you a lot of options. You know, I find a lot of guys don't like the millet. You know, a lot of guys are, you know, pretty gung-ho on the corn or, you know, food sources like that. And I've had a lot of really good success with millet. You know, if you're in a good area with a lot of traffic and you know how to hunt your area, you know, I'm fortunate I hunt with a lot of really, really good duck callers. And, you know, if you've got traffic, got a little bit of food for them and a good looking hole, this area, you're going to kill them. Sure.
Now, I know around here in the public lands, when they plant, it's typically Japanese millet, and in my opinion of it, it's like cracked ducks. I mean,
yeah.
in fact, we had a lease for the first time this last year, which ended up being terrible. The ducks never ever used it. I think maybe it's too small. I'm not sure, but that's what we planted in it was millet. But now just now, some of the guys are starting to do corn more at the public places, but traditionally, we're out of Kansas. Traditionally in Kansas, when they plant, it's millet, and my experience is that ducks love it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree, and it's easy to grow. I mean, I've done everything from spread it with a 4-wheeler to drilling it with a 40-foot John Deere air seeder. You know, it's really easy to grow. You know, if it's too wet, you know, you go in there. As long as you have soil to seed contact on that millet, you know, it's going to come up pretty much. You know, and it's cheap. You can get out there, spread it with a spreader, and honestly, I've had just as good of luck of getting it up. You know, pulling a spreader, or you know, if you're lucky enough, you can have a spreader truck or something like that. You know, that works really good. It's a lot easier. You can cover a lot more ground than using a 4-wheeler or something. But you know, if you got soil to seed contact and you get a rain on it, or the soil's just a little wet, they'll come right up and you get a perfect stand every time.
Well, maybe you're the perfect person for me to ask this question too. So we purchased a lease, northwest Missouri, right up around the Squaw Creek area. For this, we had never ever purchased a lease, and we had a Kansas State biologist kind of talking us through the planting, and this was a very small little marsh. I think 3 to 6 acres. It was small, but our crop came up perfect. We flooded it. You know, we thought we were raising the water at the perfect time, and we were scouting this thing throughout teal season, throughout October, throughout November. And flat out, the ducks just never, ever came. They just never showed up. I mean, we weren't scouting it every day, but we were having a farmer check it a couple times a week because it was about an hour from us. And not one time did we ever see or get a report, yeah, there's ducks using it. And we were just flabbergasted as to why nothing ever used it or why that would be.
And that's I mean, I know that area is, you know, well known for a lot of traffic. It's that specific spot, you know. Has anybody hunted it in the past, or? Well,
I know the guys that had it the 2 years previous, and they did not do well, but the 2 years previous were really, really warm. So, I mean, the migration kind of sucked for everyone through those 2 years. Other than those 2 years, I don't know. I know Squaw Creek and Bob Brown both were loaded with ducks, and still. Now, it was right up against a railroad track, and a train came very frequently. And I wondered, well,
I've got a spot just like that. And there's tons of ducks that use it, but the trains will blow them out of the hole. That's for sure. It's literally the same exact situation. But the ducks do use it. You know, they use it quite often. It's corn up there. But man, I don't know. You know, there's a lot of things you could say. I mean, if there's traffic and you're not killing them, you know, it could be something to do, you know, like you say, biologically. But I mean, you're not seeing, you know, if you're scouting it and you're not getting much traffic, I'd say you're probably just off the X. I mean, there's guys over here too, you know, just a couple miles to the west of us here. I've got a buddy that farms over there that's got an awesome duck hole. He actually owns a contracting company. So he's got dirt pans and, you know, all the equipment, bulldozers, excavators, you know, to do it up right, and they just don't kill them. Yeah, you know, they just don't. They're just kind of off that X a little bit. You know, when we're right here in the on the highway of them, right here where we're at, and
that must be it. I mean, we are smack in between Squaw Creek and the Missouri River. Right. So you would think that would be just perfect, you know. But all I did, we did not hunt it a single time because we're public land hunters at our core. And I'm like, I don't care what I paid. If I don't think we can shoot ducks up there, I'm not going there. I'm not going to go there just to see it. So, well, that's good feedback. Yeah. We didn't renew. But actually,
probably a good call.
It was a great learning experience planting the millet and seeing it grow. And so it was a great learning experience.
Right. Well, now next time you'll just have to get on the X a little bit better, and then you'll have them dialed in.
Well, I don't know. My wife says there is no next time.
That's why I'm not married.
So is your land strictly your private place, or do you guys can people pay to come and hunt it, or is it just totally private?
We used to do some pay hunting out here. Actually, the majority of the land that I hunt butts up to our property, and we share it with the landowner. We do a lot of the farming for him and the dirt work and excavation and stuff like that as far as the management goes for the duck hunting. And he ran an outfitter for a long time. And then as his kids got a little bit older, and him and my dad are good buddies, and we kind of made that more of a personal spot. And the hunting actually, I think, improved significantly. Once we started resting it a little bit more. We used to do some guiding out here, and I actually grew up, as a kid in high school, taking clients out here and stuff, and that actually helped teach me a lot about hunting and calling and things like that. But we don't do. I think we've probably been doing it like this for about 5 years now, and there's a lot of duck clubs in this area though where we're at, and they do well, but there's a lot of pressure around here, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one reason why we've started doing so well the last few years is because we let the ducks get in there and let them sit for a day or two, and all these guys around us are just blasting at them, and they can kind of get in here and get comfortable, and I think that's definitely helped our success the last couple of years is not putting so much pressure on.
So this kind of changes the subject just a little bit, but you're talking about all the wood and timber hunting you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I haven't done any timber hunting. I'm in Indiana. I don't even know if there's timber to hunt, but
you can make some.
Well, that kind of goes along with my question. Like, how do you know like what a good woods is for like having ducks and timber in it? Because I know woods that have standing water in it, but I've never really scouted for the ducks in those areas.
Well, most of the woods that you hunt in Arkansas and in Missouri and stuff like that, it's pretty big timber. It's kind of funny watching a duck eat an acorn that's this big around, but they do. However, you will kill ducks over here in the bottoms. It's kind of more of like scrub timber. It's not as big timber, but I think people harp on a little bit too much on the food source when it comes to woods hunting. You hear a lot of guys, well, those woods aren't going to produce acorns, or we had a bad acorn crop this year, or something like that. But sure, that does affect them a little bit. But the ducks like the woods for a lot of different reasons. And I've got a little woods hole over here right on the river that I'm thinking about putting some levees up and trying to get some water on it and see if I can kill some ducks on it, because 2 years ago we had a flood, and I mean, it was just loaded up with ducks, and there's no big hardwoods on that at all, and it was loaded with them. So I think if you're in an area where there's some traffic and you let those ducks start using, a lot of guys plant food sources in their woods holes too. They'll go in there and hand spread millet, something like that. If it's a private hole, but you go down to Arkansas and you're dealing with thousands and thousands and thousands of acres, big woods, big open woods, and those guys have been down there for all of eternity. That's where my family's actually from. And those guys will tell you stories from 50 years ago, before the duck hunting was, super popular, and the woods would be, I'm sure you've seen the Claypool Reservoir pictures and stuff. My grandpa's got some photos like that, and pretty crazy to see the amount of ducks that build up in the woods. It's kind of hard to say. If you had a big block of woods that was some good timber in a good area, close to, woods next to fields are always the best. A lot of guys have some timber holes next to rice fields and things like that, and those ducks will come off those rice fields and they'll loaf, and they'll come out and they'll rest in the woods for the day, or about midday, 10 o'clock or something like that, and and a lot of guys have a lot of success that way. As far as the big woods in Arkansas go, those there's just tons and tons and tons and tons of ducks that use those woods. Of course, in Arkansas, Stuttgart, that area, northeast Arkansas, that's bigger ice country. So there's just a lot of ducks in the area. And those ducks like to get up off those fields, during the day after they feed in the mornings and start using those woods. And, a lot of guys leave the woods a little early. I've had some of my best hunts. Of course, all the WMAs in Arkansas, the laws are a little different as far as when you have to get off the W. But, mid-morning, 10, 11 o'clock sometimes, or when you really have your best days, when those ducks, they're done feeding, they want to, come out and rest for the rest of the day until they get up at night. And that's usually, I've had my best hunt. And the sun's out and the ducks are pretty and you can see them come through the trees. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I think a
Awesome.
limit by about 11 o'clock is perfect, because if it's too fast, you don't lock the memories in. So, you get to talk and goof around, a flock comes in, you wait another 30 minutes, another big flock. That's just the perfect day.
Yeah, absolutely. and when it's dark out, you can't do, light's not good for the camera. So I've gotten spoiled, once we started filming and doing that kind of stuff too. We'll let a bunch come through the woods or something and, kind of swoop through the hole and let them go out, because the light's not right. If you think it's going to be a good day, you can shoot, 3-4 mallards out of a bunch. You get 2 good bunches in there and you're done.
Yeah.
So if you shoot half your limit at first light, it doesn't leave much footage for the camera.
Yeah. Speaking of the camera stuff, I'm curious as to now you started. Are you the mastermind, obviously, behind Day60 TV?
The project idea was started by myself and two friends of mine, actually, one of which has passed away now. A good friend of mine, but we actually just recently kind of went different ways. He started his own project, and my friend Chris, who we both kind of got into this together about 10 years ago. He does a lot of the post-production for us, and he does a really good job. He's worked for several guys in the past. He's very, very, very talented, and he's a very good duck hunter too. So it's a good combination of, he has a good eye for it, and we really we enjoy working together. And when we go out and film, we kind of switch off. We both film, we both hunt. And when I first got into it, it was tough for me. I got into filming when I was probably 16 years old. I drained my savings account to buy a Sony HD camera. And I was like, I can do this. All these guys were coming out with these hunting DVDs. I thought I could do this. And, of course, I would film and, you hunt, and then you try and let your buddy film who doesn't have much experience with the camera. And like kind of like I'm saying, a group of 50 comes in and boom, 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 and you're like, oh my God, did you get that? And oh man, the camera wasn't on, or something like that. So it makes it really enjoyable to share that with guys who are really talented in the field as well. On a duck call, on a gun, all aspects of hunting, and then you can switch off and share the camera too, and everybody gets kind of the best of the both worlds. But Chris does do most of the post production. He's very talented, and I got into that when I was a little bit younger, and we both kind of got into it at the same time, and he really took off with it. And I kind of leave it to him. There's a lot that I can learn, but it takes me forever to do 10% of what he does. He's very talented and does a really good job. Sure. We're going to have some really, really cool stuff coming out. This past season, we're going to have several episodes that we're actually working on right now. Going to be really, really, really cool stuff. So I'm really looking forward to putting that out for everybody and getting that out and sharing that. We had some really good hunts towards the end of the year. We spent a lot of time in Arkansas once we finally got some water down there, and I got some cool hunts here at my place in Illinois. And it's going to be some really cool stuff next year, and I'm really excited to share that with everybody.
So 2 years ago, basically you had been filming hunts, but then 2 years ago you decided to start the Day60 TV. What was your motivation to start, and what's your goal with the whole thing? I know you guys are on YouTube, you're on Facebook. Your videos are kind of high production quality with really good visuals and music. What is your end goal, I guess, and why did you start? And what's your end goal with it?
Well, when I got started in this, kind of like I told you in the past, it was just kind of for fun. And then I started working freelance for some guys and just I filmed for numerous people when I was a kid. When I say kid, 18, 19 years old. And, I got to learn a lot as far as how everybody and some different guys produce their shows. And I really learned a lot from, hunting around a lot of different people. And fortunately for me, some of my friends are tied in the waterfowl industry. And I got involved with Bandit. I'm sure Banded the company, and and got tied in with those guys when the company was very new, and so that kind of brought me into that side of things, and I kind of actually got out of the filming for a little while, and just kind of worked with those guys. At that time, Keith Allen was in charge of the duck calls, and I helped him a lot with tuning calls and things like that, and working shows and expos and traveling around a little bit. And then I got hooked up with a couple buddies of mine that were kind of doing the same thing. They were kind of doing it for fun, and they were really good duck hunters. And I got to hunting with them, and we kind of picked around the idea of let's put a little effort into this. We filmed a little bit. Those guys were actually doing a project for something. And I helped them a little bit, and I was like, we should team up a little bit and put a little bit of effort into this, and it could really be something cool because we all have a little bit of experience behind the camera, and we hunt some of the best spots in the area, country, really, and so we kind of put two and two together, and we started that project, and that was my friend Brandon and Rory at the time, and Rory passed away a little over a year ago. And so after that, we put the project down for a while after Rory passed away, and we kind of picked it back up last summer. And then Chris and I were continuing with Day60, and Brandon actually started his own little project. So it's been a lot of fun and a learning experience for sure. We've had a lot of success, with the feedback from our videos, and being tied in with some good companies like Bandit and Gatortail and people like that, and really been able to get our content out there at pretty quick, and we've had a really good response, and that was kind of how we started. We're like, well, we'll start it, and if people like it, then we'll keep it going, and if people don't, then we're not really out anything, and so far we've had really good response, and I'm actually developing a website right now and coming out with some logo gears and things like that. So we got some big things coming up. Once we start putting some more episodes out from this past season, it's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. Sure.
So are most of your episodes then on Facebook, or do you like have aspirations for them to be like on a TV channel or?
Right now we release everything on Facebook. As you know, in today's day and age, that's the best way really for people to, kind of access it and see it. And once we get a few more episodes out, we've talked to a few different web platforms, companies like Carbon TV and things like that, and getting it out there that way. Right now, I've tossed around the idea a few different things, and right now that's honestly the best way to go for us, until maybe we can get some more companies together and put something together as far as putting something on TV. But I think that's kind of the way the industry's going. Is, as there's no more Blockbusters, or people don't rent DVDs or anything like that anymore. It's Netflix and things like that. And so I think the whole movement of that is kind of going towards that web series platform. And so that's kind of the direction that we're going with it. I'm open to different ideas, but we've had some really good success just by putting things out on social media, and but I think we are going to go that route once we get a few more of these episodes done from this year. I think we've got some plans put together to do something like that. So that's kind of the goal. You can reach a little bit wider of audience that way through the people who are fans of their channel and that watch their channel. So that's kind of the direction that I think things are going, and I think we're going to follow the trend.
So what's your plan for YouTube? Because I know you've got 7 or 8 series episodes on YouTube. How does YouTube play in to what you're doing?
Really, we just use YouTube as we release everything through Facebook. That seems to be the best way to access people and to get people to see it. YouTube really is kind of a base platform for us as far as a channel goes. It's easy. Say look up our channel on YouTube. Our channel is Day60 TV on YouTube. So we have all the episodes and we do some promotional videos and short clips, things like that we post on there, and so that's kind of a home base for just the video stuff. You go through Facebook, sometimes you got to scroll or click around, maybe to find episodes. So YouTube's a good platform. It's a good home base for all of our higher quality videos and stuff like that. So
sure.
Usually when we release something, we'll release it on Facebook, but it'll always have a YouTube link as well.
Okay. Well, they're really interesting, high quality videos for sure. You guys are doing a great job.
I appreciate that. There's gonna be some really cool stuff coming out really soon, so I'm excited about it.
So you guys hunt during the year and then you release videos the following year. Is that?
Yeah. So this was our first year really putting out. This past year, putting out videos. So the videos coming up from this year will actually be from the 2017, 2000. So, we'll film during the waterfowl season, put out some content, throughout the year, and then following, spring, summer, things like that. Then we'll start working on episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of when a lot of people really like to start watching stuff. It's kind of like you were saying at the beginning of the show, you don't have much to do, or you're kind of got the waterfowl blues, as people like to say.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It gives you something to do. You can watch hunting, kind of get you in the mode again and things like that, and gives us something to do in the off season too. We get to go back and relive those moments and go back and play around with the footage and stuff like that, and it's fun.
Jordan, I'm sure we're getting close to the lightning round, but I want to ask one more question before we get to that. Can you tell us a little about the camera equipment you have and what cameras, how many cameras, what cameras you guys are going with?
We do a lot of different things. We have a Sony FS700, which is a little bit higher quality video camera. It does some pretty incredible slow motion type footage. And then we'll use DSLRs, things like that. GoPros are awesome to have. We got a handy cam that we use, an HD handy cam that shoots in 4K RAW. And
do you know what handy cam is that you guys are using?
That's a Sony FS700.
Okay.
Or no. The 700 is the bigger camera. I'm having a brain fart right now.
Why do they name cameras stuff people can't remember? Have you ever wondered that?
And that's the thing.
Give the thing a nickname. The Sony Lightning. Everyone would know it. I use the Sony Lightning.
You get to looking it up, and you start thinking numbers, and then I'm like, no, that's not the name. That's the name of my social security number. That's not. Why
do they do that? It's a stupid Lightning.
Yeah, I know. Okay. AX1000. That's what it is. AX1000.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. So that's actually probably I always recommend that to people. It's probably the best bang for your buck as far as cameras go. I mean, it's literally a handheld camera. It shoots in 4K or 1080.
What's the price? What's the price point on that?
You can buy a good used one for just over $1,000.
Yeah.
I think you can buy a new one for $1,500 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is he doesn't really run any audio equipment or anything to it like that. We use the bigger camera. We use the 700 for that. But it's really handy to have. A lot of these production companies and hunting TV shows. Not trying to talk down on anybody, but a lot of them are a little green as far as they don't really want to get their hands dirty, and I understand why now, because the camera equipment is so expensive and they're so in depth, and you want to shoot off a tripod the majority of the time, and it's just not ideal for footage. And if you can't get good footage, then you're really kind of spinning your wheels. So having that good, a smaller camera that's mobile that you can, stick in your waders in case you fall in the water or something like that is a really good tool to have. And that's kind of what we got started using. And then we upgraded our equipment once we started upgrading our production quality a little bit. Audio equipment and stuff like that's very important once you start producing episodes and things like that. So that's the only downside to the handy cams is, and some of them do have XLR ports and stuff like that on them for audio and external mics and things like that, but majority of them do not. That's the only downside of it.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
GoPros though, perspective, POV cameras are awesome to have. A lot of people have GoPros. I think a lot of people don't utilize their GoPro as good as they should. Those are always handy to have. DSLRs are awesome, shoot awesome video. The only problem with that is they're not very good for ducks. Moving them, things like that.
The stabilization's an issue with them typically.
Yeah, that's the only issue with them. But a lot of times we'll set up a DSLR on a tripod just in the hole. Maybe a guy's leaning on a tree hunting, and he'll just kind of have that DSLR zoomed out. And as a group comes in, he might just hit record and almost use a DSLR as a POV camera. A little bit higher quality POV camera. As long as you don't knock it over.
Yeah. I think you guys are running a pretty expensive set there.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but it's not much compared to a lot of guys. A lot of guys do some crazy stuff, man. But it goes back to, like I said, is we hunt how we hunt. And if we can get the cameras in there, great. If not, a lot of times we leave them at the house because that was kind of our motto from the start. Our slogan is hunt like there's no tomorrow. So we stayed pretty true to that as far as we've lugged some camera equipment through some pretty sketchy stuff and holding the camera above the water and stuff like that. Crossing ditches in chest deep water, carrying cameras and camera cases and audio equipment, and you get into some pretty sticky situations sometimes, and in the boat, running through the woods and hitting trees and crap flying out of the boat and all kinds of stuff like that. So, but that's kind of our forte, man. Is getting into those places that a lot of guys don't usually go and capturing that footage, and hunting the same way everybody else does, and we're not paying $1,000 a day to go hunt at an outfitter to film an episode for you. We're gonna go in our backyard right here and try and get the best quality footage that we can. The same way everybody else is. We all got day jobs. A lot of we got started in this. We were all in school, so we were going to class and doing all that kind of stuff. And so we try to stay true to that. And if we can't get the cameras in there, a lot of times it's our best hunts. We don't get them on film, unfortunately. But,
well, you guys are doing a good job. It's good content, and everyone listening should make sure and check it out because it's certainly worth your time to look at it.
We use Instagram a lot. You can follow us on Instagram at Day60 TV. Same thing on Facebook, Day60. YouTube's Day60 TV. So it's pretty easy to find, and we put content out through, on there, videos and short clips and things like that. And like I said, I'm actually gonna have a website out here shortly, hopefully maybe within a month or two, and we'll have our videos up on there and stuff. But we're gonna have some cool merchandise, logo tees, hats, some cool hats and stuff like that. So and we'll post updates about all that. So
cool.
We're gonna have some cool stuff coming out this summer, and we're excited to show everybody.
Good deal.
Awesome. So I guess another question before we get to the lightning round. So one thing you mentioned about your past beforehand was that you got into competition calling when you were younger. So I guess kind of give us the lowdown on that, how that helped you out with your career in duck hunting and if you got a duck call with us, so you can give us a little example or
I wish I did. I'd love to. Unfortunately I don't, but yeah, that was something that kind of got me into the industry a little bit. When I was younger, I got into contest calling. I met a couple buddies who were into contest calling, and they kind of got me into it. I kind of went to them for info, and I kind of picked up on it, and I grew up hunting, and my dad's a good duck caller, and so I picked up on it pretty quick. And I met Keith Allen. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a good friend of mine to this day still, and we hunt a lot together. And he's an incredible duck caller. As a matter of fact, he's one of the best live duck callers in the world. And so he taught me a lot. And we actually used to get together at their duck club in New Madrid at Wildfowl Adventure, was what it used to be called. And we'd get together every Wednesday night, if I recall correctly. And, we'd call. And, there's a lot of other good guys in this area that are, boys top in the world. So I did that for a few years. And as I got better and better and better, it's kind of funny. I actually kind of started figuring it out a little bit. And I kind of quit doing it. And I got more into the filming side of things after that. But one thing I did do through all that was it taught me how to be a really good duck caller. And, I was able to take contest calling. The best thing about contest calling is it teaches you how to run a duck call. You use it as a tool, and you really learn how to use it. And so then you can take that to the field, and you hunt a lot. Fortunately, you're able to put two and two together and learn from that. And that's what I was able to do. And so after I had it a little bit more figured out, you could say, I kind of got out of the contest calling, got more into the side of things, the industry, and that's probably one of my favorite aspects of duck hunting is duck calling. No doubt about it. That's what excites me. If I can't go and blow my duck call, I don't really have any desire to go. Sometimes you go with people who there's a lot of guys, they just have rules, and they don't call much, or only one guy calls, or this and that. And my opinion, that's bogus. There's a time and place to always call, whether that's soft calling or, just calling them on the corners or hitting them hard here and there. You should never, go look at a field of ducks. It's never silent. I can promise you that. There's a time when you need to put it down. Absolutely. 110%. There's times when you need to call down, but as far as never calling, that's just, if you never call, that's just because you're not calling them right, and that's something that I've really been able to learn is hunting all over the place. Is you don't get stagnant hunting in one spot. You actually learn how to read the ducks and read what they respond to, and watch those wing beats and the noises that they make, things like that, and how to actually get those ducks to respond to a call, or just sound like real ducks. It's the best thing you can do.
Awesome. Yeah, that's some good insight.
One of the best rules of thumb Keith taught me when I learned this, and he still uses this analogy all the time, is when you're working ducks, it's kind of like you got them on a lasso. We let them get out a little bit, almost as far as you can reach them, where you're about to lose them, and then you hit them hard on the corners. And then you can bring them back, and you kind of drag them in, and get a little softer, and create that realism, and just kind of, and you've always got those ducks on a string all the time. So you want to be able to have full control of that that front bunch of ducks the entire time, and just read those ducks and what they're doing, and that determines what comes out of the call. A lot of guys don't call when ducks are on top of them, things like that. You really just have to read the ducks and what they're doing, and that's the best rule of thumb you can tell anybody is hit them hard in the corners, soft on them when they're coming in. A lot of guys, tell beginner callers not to call at all, and I would disagree with that. Also, that you get call there. You get those ducks on a corner. Let everybody call. Let those less experienced callers chime in. Hit them on the corners, and then once you get those ducks to turn and come back towards you, then let your more skilled callers, kind of drag them in, so to speak, and finish them and light them in the decoy.
That's a great idea.
That's a good way to teach, the younger guys how to call. you know, it's hard to learn how to call when you're a kid if you call, you know, so you can kind of chime in a little bit, and that's a good way to create some more sound and realism.
Yeah, and that's a great thought, because my experience with people that haven't called much is they blow in too loud when they're in too close. So just training them to call them on the corners, like you said, and then staying off their call as they're approaching. That's a great thought.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, it takes a while. It takes a while to learn. Fortunately for me, the best way for me to learn too is just being around guys that were really, really talented duck callers. When I say talented, I mean some of the best in the world. You know, I hunt with one of my good buddies is Slayton here, and he just won the 2-man worldwide duck calling contest. I grew up learning from Keith and Christian and Chris and you know, Michael Steinmeier, and those are all guys that I kind of, you know, they got me into duck calling, and those are some of the best in the world, literally. And so hunting with those guys, and it's just like playing a trumpet, or when you're a kid in school, you play the recorder or whatever. You get an ear for that sound and that note, and once you develop an ear for it, then you know where to find it, you know, and you develop an ear for that sound, and then you take that, call it woodshedding it, you know. Then once you find that sound and that tone of that realism, you know, then you woodshed it, and then you can kind of actually create realistic duck calls, realistic sounds, and go out and listen to live ducks, and okay, kind of put those two together, and there you have it.
Yeah, that's some great insight. We may have to have you back on for a whole podcast just about duck calling strategy.
Sure,
it seems like there's a lot of information about that.
There is, and I've been fortunate to learn from some of the best. So all the information that comes out of my mouth has all been given to me from a lot of different people, and I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to do that.
Awesome. I guess let's go ahead and jump into the lightning round, unless you got anything else to add, Elliot, before we go to that.
Nope, this is a great time to do that.
Cool. All right, so lightning round, just quick questions, quick answers, just bang, bang, bang. So, all right. What gun do you shoot?
Benelli Super Black Eagle 2.
What's your dream gun? It can
Benelli.
be the same gun. Okay. What 3-inch or 3.5-inch for shells?
3-inch.
Shot size?
3s.
3. Ducks or geese?
Ducks.
Face paint or no face paint?
No face paint.
Favorite duck call brand?
Oh man, Pure Duck. Keith Allen's Pure Duck. That sure is probably enough.
Nice.
But I'm a cut down guy in the woods. You know, I like using a PS Holt cut down when I'm in the woods. You know, nothing beats an Holt in the woods. So you gotta have both worlds.
Nice. What's your brand of ammo?
Heavy shot.
Rivers or fields?
Fields.
Timber or fields?
Timber.
Is timber just king?
Yeah, it really is, man. If you told me that I could only hunt the woods for the rest of my life, I'd say I'm fine with that. As long as I knew the woods had water. That's the only problem.
That's key.
Yeah. Sometimes the woods don't get water, and that's when a guy like me, he's got the blues bad, real bad.
Lucky Duck or Mojo?
Lucky Duck.
Beard or no beard?
Beard.
And I think that's it.
Yeah.
That was lightning. That was quick.
I'm actually not much of a motion wing decoy guy at all, to be honest. I'm just on the fence with the whole deal.
I've just seen where you guys in your videos, you just kick the water.
Yeah, in the woods we do, you know, and in Arkansas you can't use mojos, period.
Oh yeah,
but
didn't know.
You know, that's something that I really firmly believe in, just water movement, whether you're in the field or in the woods. I think the water movement is much more effective. You know, it's hard to beat a mojo on a sunny day. I mean, it's always gonna help you most of the time when it's sunny out. But water movement, I think, biggest, deadliest key you can have is a duck hunt, for sure. Maybe even more deadly than a duck call.
Yep, good call.
Jerk cord, man, that's my go-to.
Jerk cord. Okay, we're gonna have to add
Oh,
that to
they're
the list.
such a pain in the butt, though. Those.
Oh.
Getting
I can't
tangled in
stand
the
them.
dog.
I know. I like having them out. I just like it when other people are the ones that are dealing
Yeah,
with
when they when they're using them, yeah.
Yeah.
You just get to sit there in the blind.
That's why you gotta bring that one guy that's not a duck caller, and you just let him just pull on the cord the entire time.
And we've got that guy. We have got that guy.
That's your job, man, and then it can feel important.
Yep. And then somehow I still find a way to nitpick when he's, come on, you're not pulling it hard enough.
Pull it more, pull it more, pull it more. Yeah. He's like, I am pulling it. Yeah, you pull it.
So they need to have like a motor with just
they do.
It just spins it around and jerks the cord for you. They got one?
They do. Actually, a friend of mine and a company that we work with called Perfect Limit Outdoors. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook, everything. They actually sell them in Max Prairie Wings. It's called the DP designated puller, and it's like a windshield wiper motor. And you hook a jerk cord to it, and you put a battery on it, and you can't use battery decoys or anything like that in Arkansas, but it's great for for fields and stuff like that, and it creates a lot of movement. You put a bunch of decoys on it, you put a heavy duty jerk cord on it, thing will just sit there, pull it all day long. It's a pretty cool deal. So nice. check it out, and then you won't have to get on to your buddy anymore for not pulling jerk cord.
Yeah. No, it's more fun just to get on him about it.
Yeah, you gotta it gives you a good reason to get on to it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add, Elliot?
I don't think so. I think this has been wonderful, great information, and you guys have a great product. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, and maybe we can have you back again sometime.
Absolutely, man. I'd love to be on that. I enjoyed talking to you.
So I know you kind of gave us a little lowdown of your social media, but go ahead and let people know where they can find you again. And
we're on Instagram at Day60 TV, on Facebook, same thing there, Day60, and on YouTube, Day60 TV, and we post on there quite a bit, and we post pictures and content, and all of our episodes and short clips, things like that. I post that up on there. And you can follow me on Instagram at sjschneider10. And I post a little duck hunting. I'm a meathead. I like to work out. I post some workout stuff on there. So follow me on there. And we actually just started a new Instagram account not too long ago. So we're working on that following back up. So if you guys could give us a follow on Instagram at Day60.
Awesome. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Sam. And I'm Jordan, and for Elliot, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Take it easy.